Good morning. We're going to be starting here in about 4 minutes. So thank you very much for joining the call. If you have any questions, please go down to the chat section while you're listening to the webinar, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Hey, Cherie.
Hi, Sherman.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
All right. So we have about 3 minutes before we start here. Everyone can hear us on the line. All right, good morning. This is Sherman Crancer from IP Bidders, and I have Cherie Coates on the webinar. We're going to start promptly at 11 so that we can finish off at 12. Cherie, I'd like to, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, and we can kind of start getting into the slides right away.
Sure. Thank you, Sherman. We'll welcome everybody to the webinar. My name is Cherie Coates, as Sherman said, and I am an Economic Development Specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration in the Santa Ana District Office. We're also known by the acronym SBA. We're really excited to bring you our first bi-weekly webinar series through a partnership with Microsoft Community Connections. And when we talk to small business owners, they're always looking for ways to increase efficiency and productivity, and they'd like to know more about how new technology can help their business. This webinar series will build on each previous webinar, but if you can attend just as a standalone, that will work as well. I just wanted to say a few words about the SBA. We are a federal agency here to provide support to America's 28 million small businesses, And our mission is to help small businesses to grow and be successful. We call SBA's core programs the 3 C's and a D. Capital is the first, and the SBA provides access to capital in the form of guaranteed loans to start, expand, export, or recover from a disaster, which is at the bottom of the slide there, that 1D. We partner with about 5,000 participating lenders to provide financing to those businesses that are qualified. The second C is contracting. The federal government is the largest purchaser of goods and services in the world at about $500 billion a year. And the goal is that 23% of these contracts go to small businesses. The SBA helps with contracting certifications to help those small businesses in getting contracts. The third C is counseling. SBA offers training, education, mentoring, and one-on-one counseling. And this is done at our district offices and with our valued funded resource partners such as SCORE, Small Business Development Centers, and Women's Business Centers. The one-on-one counseling and mentoring are at no cost to the businesses, and workshops and events are either free or at a very low cost. We also partner with the private sector, bringing their expertise in a variety of business topics, which is what brings us here today. Okay, you can switch to the last slide there, Sherman.
All right.
Okay, so we send out an email of our monthly calendar of workshops and events, which includes those within our resource partner network, which covers Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. So if you're interested in receiving them, please email me. There's my email at cherie.coates@sba.gov. Also, visit our website at sba.gov and click on local resources, and you can learn more about the services we provide and local events. We are very happy to have a partnership with Microsoft Community Connections to bring you this webinar series. And our goal here is to get you the information and education you need to understand the latest technology and how it can help with your business growth. I'd like to turn it over to Sherman Crancer from IP Bidders, and he is a certified partner of Microsoft. So thank you, Sherman.
All right, thank you so much. So a couple of items today. We're going to be going through our first webinar for the Small Business Administration, and with that, it's an educational series. And today we're going to be talking about the cloud. We're going to be putting out a few polls so it can be a little more interactive with you. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and type them into your question area and or the chat area, and we will be talking with being able to answer them while you go. Please mute all of your speakers, and we'll kind of go from there. At the end, we'll kind of do a wrap-up and talk about our next webinar. It's every 2 weeks. It's a series of events, and we're extremely excited to help out. So without further ado, let's move on to the next one.
So let's get started. So what is the cloud and how can it help your business reduce technology costs? So today we're going to talk about the definition of really what is the cloud. We're going to kind of go over a bunch of different technologies and how to help set up your business. And the following webinars that you're going to hopefully attend, we're going to actually go into the specifics of each one of these technologies so that you have a better understanding of each. So today is pretty much an overview of the cloud, how can it help your business grow, reduce IT costs, and provide for more functionality within your workplace. So let's look at technology as a differentiator. Technology leaders far outperform their peers in the marketplace. Boston Consulting Group, which is a leading polling group out there, basically decided to talk to a lot of different small to medium-sized business owners and ask them, whether they adopted technology, what happened, did it increase their revenues. And what they found, that there was a certain set of what they call technologists that are out there in the small to medium-sized business market, and they found that they had a 2 times greater or faster job growth within their industry. they increased their revenues by 15% faster than the regular brick and mortar organizations, and they were 5 times more likely to invest in new technology. Did it mean that they actually spent more money? No. What the interesting thing was, and what they found out, it's a great survey, is they found out that these technology leaders actually, they did a lot more research, and they were always looking for ways to increase mobility, increase productivity, but they're also looking for ways to reduce overall IT spend and IT costs, and it really helped them out. So they're 5 times more likely to invest in new tech, but it really helped them with that 15% increase in annual revenues.
So I think what we're going to do here first, real quick, is actually put together a quick poll for everybody here on the call to kind of see if they think that they're actually a technologist or not.
So what is the cloud? So
this is pretty good. We're having a lot of people answering this, whether they are technologists or not technologists, which is pretty neat. I would think that everybody here on the call actually would be a technologist, considering that you're looking at a new way or ways to increase your business or mobility or whatnot. So that's fantastic. Thanks everyone for voting on that. We're going to go and close this poll, and we're going to go back over to the cloud.
So what is the cloud? Gosh, there's been so many different ideas, thoughts, explanations of what the cloud is, and basically I hope to put this all to rest with a simple definition of what it actually is. So the cloud is the internet. Simply put, it's a place to store and access data or programs. Very simple. It's not a lot of the things that a lot of companies out there try to tell you what it actually is. This is the cloud, or that's the cloud. No, it's simply the internet and a place to store and access data or programs. Let me tell you a little history behind the cloud and kind of where it came together. So there's a company that's online. I'm not going to mention its names, but it started out as a book company many years ago, about 15 years ago. And they went public, and they've got a whole bunch of money. So what did they do? They went out and spent about $60 to $80 million designing what's called a data center. And a data center is basically a area where you put or you house hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of large hard drives, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of banks of memory, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of CPUs, so that your company can actually run its business on. And so this company, once again, it's a famous book company out there, realized after about 7 or 8 years that, my gosh, they overspent. So they thought to themselves, okay, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to monetize this somehow. So they realized that only 30% of this data center was actually being utilized within their company, which was an online place to buy and sell books, CDs, and now is a major marketplace. So what they decided to do is they said, we're going to monetize this by putting it out there and renting, basically leasing space on our data center, hard drive space, memory, CPU power, and we're going to call it, to a degree, cloud computing. So there in turn, that's where it all started, kind of back where this one company who overspent decided to monetize this. One of the greatest inventions that ever actually came to fruition really is the cloud, because now, as a small to medium-sized business owner, you can now have a place to put all of your information it doesn't reside on your local hard drive, which is just absolutely fantastic. So that's basically kind of where the cloud started. And right now we have so many different ways of utilizing the cloud, and that's kind of where it goes. So, what cloud products are we using today? So a lot of people that I talk to will say, well, I'm not going to use the cloud. No way. I'm going to sit back and relax and just keep using my business. And no way, it's not secure. It's, the security breaches. And you know something, I'm just not interested. And then, I tell them, I said, okay, anybody in the room, let's do a little poll here. Okay, raise your hand if you use online banking. Next thing you know, about 80% here. And that, my friends, here on this webinar is what we call the basis of the cloud. So now take a look at the different companies that came up here. So Wells Fargo's in the bottom right-hand corner, and the nice thing about this is that we all use it. We all use a Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citibank, some sort of online banking to pay our bills, and this basically we're using the cloud. A lot of people will ask, well, the cloud's not secure. But then I ask them, are you using online banking? Are you trusting an internet connection to a bank for your money, which is the most important thing? Your data is not even close to how important the money is in your bank. So if you're using a banking application, you should start thinking that the cloud is trustworthy. QuickBooks Online is another program that has gone from having an application housed at your office to an online database. And LinkedIn, we all use it. I'm an LinkedIn open networker, so you can always send an invitation to me, and I'd be happy to do that. Facebook, just about everyone we know has a Facebook account, or many people probably deactivated it like me because tired of being pinged all the time through there. Skype is a great tool that we can talk about. It's a cloud product that everyone uses. So let's go ahead and talk to Grandma and Grandpa up in Northern California when we do it. And lastly is the Microsoft Office 365, which is another great product and something that we're going to talk about that will help with mobility, productivity, and reduce your IT costs.
So let's look for a different poll right now. Let's go ahead and do you have a better understanding of what the cloud is? Let's go launch it and see who here on the call has a better understanding of what the cloud is, or are you still cloudy? All right, 66% voted, 85 says yes, 15% are still cloudy, 2%, 1% say no. I think that's pretty good understanding. Reality is it's pretty basic. It really is just the internet. It's a place to store your information. All right, so 82% voted. We're going to go ahead and close this poll and get back to sharing the screen.
So the three things to think about is, one, the move to the cloud, two, skyrocketing mobile and remote usage, and three, using data to compete for customers. So what we found is there's a 24% annual growth rate in spending on hosted services by small to medium-sized businesses. And then we also found that mobile and remote usage is skyrocketing out of control. 85% of all SMBs use smartphones right now. 25% are using tablets. 43% have telecommuters. If you really think about it, when you go to a coffee shop or Starbucks or the airport, just look around. I bet you find out that 90% of the people there are staring down at some sort of device. I was actually thinking about putting together some sort of video to kind of look at it. It's absolutely hilarious. And then the number one priority that we found with small to medium-sized businesses is how to improve customer service through using their data, their current data that they have stored right now in their Excel or their platform currently, and how to use that to actually increase productivity and or increase revenue coming from the data they currently have. So hey, the game is changing. We're seeing it now. We've talked about how the cloud is here. It's not going away. You can either adopt it today, tomorrow, 3 months, 6 years from now. But the reality is, if you do it now, you might have a chance to reduce your overall IT costs, spin up your business to a really big business very quickly, and then kind of go from there. But hey, the cloud is here, and you really got to think about it. The game is definitely changing. So staying ahead of the game. This is probably one of the most important things is you don't want to be caught in a position where you overspent, you wasted a lot of money on products and services and whatnot. So the first thing that you got to think about is be lean and stable. This is very, very important, and we can't stress this enough. Don't invest a cent more than you need, and instantly when required. We mentioned to all of our clients, look, if you're thinking about getting into a server, you're thinking about, how do you, what should I buy? I want to buy all this infrastructure. Stop right there and just say, hold on 1 minute. What technologies out there can actually help me get up and running quickly, but not actually reduce the level of my bank account so significant I'm hoping and praying for the next check that's coming. Business Anywhere, it is happening today. If you can find out, how many times are you at an airport, how many times are you at the coffee shop again thinking, gosh, I want to look at this email, how many emails do you send me while you're not in the office? Well, I will tell you that 84% of businesses today are doing business outside their actual office. So stay ahead of the game and get into the cloud products so that you have the ability to complete business anywhere you're going. And then tap your goal plan. You have a ton of data that's probably being stored in your Excel spreadsheets, your customer relationship management deals, and you really got to be on top of that and start figuring out, okay, how do I turn this into revenue? And we're going to talk about a lot of that in the upcoming seminar. We're going to get very granular on the...
Oh, sorry about that.
Excel and customer relationship management, how to really mine those particular items. So the 5 technology products that we're going to talk about today are pretty dynamic. And I think one of the first ones is cloud servers. We're going to talk about how cloud servers differentiates from a regular server that you have in-house, and kind of how the brick and mortars have done it in the past. We're going to talk about voice over IP. A lot of confusion behind that. We really want to kind of give you the tools to understand what voice over IP is, how it applies. We're going to do a basic phone service breakdown, which is going to be fantastic for the small, medium, enterprise, large businesses. We're going to talk to them and talk about, what's really applicable to your business, and so that you won't spend too much money or not spend enough. We're going to break down the internet options for small, medium, and large-sized businesses. So A, as a small to medium-sized business owner, you don't overspend. Or B, if you're an enterprise business owner where you have a medium-sized business, you actually get the right tools that are applicable for you. And then we're going to talk about some really high-level stuff. So as soon as your small to medium-sized businesses grow into those large businesses, you'll know, okay, in the back of my head, this is what I need for my business. And then lastly, we're going to talk about Office 365. We're going to talk about how, the productivity and how the mobility and how these things will actually help your business grow. And it's just going to be so fantastic drill down of all these different ideas. So let's kind of move into that. Cloud servers. Okay, so this is kind of the first item on the list that we're going to talk about today. And I think the best thing to do is talk about what is the standard current server environment. Okay, so I know this seems like a lot of big words that sometimes you're like, well, I don't know what it is. So let's just break it down real easily for you. The way I look at it is let's take a company that has 5 computers in their office. Okay, so 5 basic computers, 5 people are sitting there, and then inside their office there's a really big computer. Where is it? It's usually in the cloud somewhere. It's standing by itself. Nobody's on it. And what is that? That's actually called the server. Okay, that's the server. That's the one device that houses all of your major and main applications. So you have Office, right? So all the other computers have Microsoft Office. Well, they go to the server to access it. Secondly, you're going to have your QuickBooks on there, or your accounting software on there, so that one of the 5 computers that is in finance or accounting can actually access it that way. Thirdly, you're going to have your hosted Exchange account, which is like your email account on this particular server. So as you can see, and you can have other different ideas on there, or other different programs on there, but the reality is this is the main box you currently have in your office, right? Okay, that's what we call as infrastructure. That is what most terminology, the terminology is of all the different devices you have inside your office. There's a lot of other smaller things, but we're just going to keep it real simple there. So current environment, you got to go out, you got to call a technology company, you got to call a provider to sell you the services, and you find a company to come in and actually install it for you. So, what is the cloud server? Okay, so the standard current server environment, you have it inside your office. Now, what a cloud server says is, okay, you know something? There's a new way of doing business, and thank you for that book company who started this whole idea, because now you can go to Microsoft to get it. You can go anywhere you want to. A cloud server says, instead of you having that big old box inside your office, right, instead of spending the economics, which we'll get into in just a second, in your office, take that out, remove that infrastructure cost, and go ahead and put it to the cloud. Give it to somebody else to manage, okay? And why would you do that? Well, think about it. Technology changes every day, very quickly, almost hourly. Newest things going to come out. And what happens is a lot of our equipment becomes obsolete very quickly. So why allow yourself to have a big capital expenditure where your equipment is obsolete in 3 years? Forget that. Put your server in the cloud and let the company who is housing all these big, huge data centers with all these servers and memory and hard drive, let them deal with the depreciation of assets. So a cloud server basically says, okay, take whatever your current infrastructure is, remove it from your office, put it in the cloud. All you have to do now is just maintain the 4 or 5 computers you have, or laptops. Get an internet connection, and boom, you're into your server. The next thing to talk about is the economics of cloud versus on-premise server environments. Very interesting economics behind this, and a lot of people don't understand the real hard costs. We're coming from a finance background myself, so I really studied it and kind of figured out what it was. So let's just talk about it in general terms. And for a small server environment, for that one company we talked about, the cost of the server is about $6,000. So that's $6,000 you got to take, right? Okay, but it doesn't come with software, so you got to have a server software on there, Essentials Pro 2013, right? How much does that cost? Well, let's say it's $2,000. Now we're up to $8,000. Well, you're going to need a rack to put it on, right, and battery backup. So that's another $2,000. So now you're up to $10,000 for this particular device. You got to add the programs to it. Well, let's add another $1,000 to that. So now you're at $11,000. Well, you need a person to come in and install it. Well, the average cost for installing a server and configuring it and getting it ready is about $3,000 on the low end, $5,000 on the high end. So let's say we're going to go to the low end because you're trying to save money. It's $13,000. Now, the next thing to do, that's just your upfront cost. You're going to have to maintain that particular server, and how much is that going to cost you? Okay, so that's going to cost you about $200 a month, let's say. So that's going to bring us up to $2,400. That's going to bring us up to about $14,400 that we have to input the first year. Okay. Now we extrapolate that over 5 years. We're looking at around $22,000 to $23,000 for the small server that you have. Okay. That's a lot of money out of your pocket, and that's a capital expenditure. On a cloud environment, how much does it cost? Well, it'll cost you about $400 to $1,000 a month for that same type of server, same type of CPUs, same type of memory. And the nice thing is you no longer have to pay for the capital expenditure or the actual hardware. The other company does. They house it and they make sure it's running every single day. lastly, on the economic side, in 5 years, when you have to re-up your technology, because as we just talked about, you're in a position where things change very rapidly. Maybe you need more CPU, maybe you need more hard drive space for what you're doing, maybe you're growing. Well, now you got to spend another $25,000. Does it make sense? Now, for a small to medium-sized business trying to start out. Lastly, 3 terms: IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. If you're looking for servers, you're thinking about going to the cloud. The reality is you're going to see these 3 different terminologies and you're thinking, oh gosh, what the heck is it? And the first one is infrastructure as a service, IaaS, and that's what we're talking about here, infrastructure. So your infrastructure that you have, it costs you the $24,000 or so. Instead of doing that, you're actually contracting with a cloud provider. Microsoft provides an Azure cloud platform where they do that. So it's a service instead of an actual capital expenditure. SaaS is software as a service, and we're going to get into that later on. That's Microsoft Office 365, that's QuickBooks Online, that's any service that instead of being able to put it on your hard drive, now they're saying, hey, just pay us a monthly fee, we'll take care of it. And then platform as a service is basically a program that you've created and you're actually putting on in the cloud where people can access it from multiple endpoints throughout the country, throughout the world. The best way of describing that would be creating a shopping cart where people can buy things. People can go to your website and do it, and that's a platform as a service. So hopefully that
helps you out a little bit better. So I think the next thing is to talk about the actual internet connections and phone connections, and it really kind of gives you a real base knowledge of all the things that we're really talking about. And I think for a small to medium-sized business, it is so important to understand that. So we'll continue right now.
gives you a good idea of what cloud server is, and I would tell you.
All right.
The next topic to talk about is hosted phones or voice over IP. So there's a huge confusion, and it's really got a black eye, to be totally frank with you. Hosted phones or voice over IP. Voice over IP's got a real black eye with companies like Bondage and Magic Jack and 8x8, Ring Central, a lot of different companies like that. Where the technology and the idea is fantastic, but the execution is extremely poor. And we'll kind of go over the 2 very specific items and how to delineate them to see if it really applies to your business. Some voice over IP is really good for small businesses, but hosted phones are for businesses that take their communications seriously. So the 2 forms of the hosted phone systems are dedicated and shared connections. Very simple to figure out and kind of understand it. And I'll share that with you right now. So a shared connection is a connection that you're hearing from Magic Jack or Bondage. Bondage calls you up and says, hey, I got a great program for you where we're going to let you use business phones through us. And you say, great, how much? And you say, great, $20 a line. Fantastic, it's cheap. But then you get stuck. Can't hear. There's a problem. Okay, you have a lot of jitter, or echoing, right? And you think, oh God, this is terrible. I'm running a business, but I can't do it. Okay, so that's a shared connection. And why is that a problem? And why are there issues like that? And I'll tell you, because you're sharing the internet connection that you have at your office, and the company who's providing you this stuff, like a Bondage or a hosted, any other of these, a Bondage or a 8x8. They don't own the line, the internet line to your business, so they can't actually section off or make sure that the voice packets are being separated from the data packets. So they get all jumbled up in the same connection, and that's why you get loss and jitter and problems. It's a great great avenue if you only have 1 or 2 lines in your business. You're not using the phone a whole lot. You use your cell phone a lot. It's not that deal because it's really cheap. Now, if communications are really important for you, hosted phone systems are the way to go. I mean, a hosted phone is different from voice over IP. Same technology, same theory. However, the company that's providing you hosted phone systems are companies that actually own the last mile. They own the internet connection as well. And these are companies like AT&T, Verizon, Telepacific, Bridge Communications, Granite. Well, they actually own it. So what they do is they take the pipe and they section it off, they cut it in half, and they say, well, the bottom half is just voice, and the top is just data, so that you never have the jitter, or you never have those issues that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis with the shared connection, because the shared company cannot actually delineate voice and data packets. Some of the great benefits of a hosted phones, and we like to talk about this, is business continuity. This is where the best part of hosted phones really is applicable. A lot of people here on this call are small to medium-sized businesses that are looking to grow. Right? Okay, why don't you make yourself look a whole lot bigger than you are by electing to use a hosted phone or voice over IP? Every single one of these options gives you an auto attendant. So when they pick up the phone or an answer that says, hi, it's the ABC company, press 1 for sales, press 2 for services, press 3 for questions about your bill, something like that. And then business continuity, what that means is that what happens in a disaster, a fire, a flood, a tornado, a sleet storm, an earthquake, or whatever it is, business continuity says that when that happens to your office, when your next door neighbor and you and everyone else doesn't have any phone service, well, with a hosted voice application, all the phone calls will automatically get routed to a number of your predetermined choosing, which would probably be your cell phone or another location. Automatically get routed. And if it didn't get routed to that, it would automatically get routed to your auto attendant, which would go to a voicemail. And that voicemail will then turn into an email and send it to your email client, which is probably on your phone because you're using some sort of a hosted application. Best news about that, you can just click the play button, hear the message, call them right back, say, oh, no, we're not out of business, don't worry about it, we're ready to go, what do you need? So that's the business continuity end of it. Number 2, ability to grow. Great thing about hosted phones and voice over IP is you don't have to buy whole sets of phones or a new phone system if you're growing. You basically just call up the provider and you tell them, hey, I need a new phone. Or, hey, I need a new line. What do they do? Drop ship you in 24 to 48 hours, a pre-configured phone. All you got to do is put it on your desk, plug it in. When if you're growing, you got to move people inside your office. The beauty about this is you can take the phone at the president's office, and he now got a bigger office. He just unplugs his phone, walks over to his new desk, his new office, puts it into the internet connection, and he's up and running. Economics of hosted applications, CapEx, we have that thing up there. CapEx is capital expenditure. Okay, so the idea behind buying a phone system as opposed to doing a hosted or voice over IP is pretty significant. Buying a new phone system for a 5-user environment, an actual phone system that had voicemail and auto attendant and whatnot, can cost you anywhere between $4,000 to $8,000, and after 5 years, you're going to have to keep doing it. It's been a vicious cycle that a lot of companies have been in. But in the hosted environment or voice over IP environment, you never have to do it ever again. You just pay a monthly fee. It's similar to cars or buying and leasing a car. Another great benefit is connection of all locations. So let's say you have 3 to 4 and 5 locations. In the past, you'd have to buy 5 separate phone systems, and hopefully they're all the same so they can all integrate to each other. Now with a hosted phone system, it doesn't matter. You ship the same phones to different areas, and as long as there's an internet connection, there's a connection with all locations. Conversely, you can also literally unplug your phone with some providers, put it in your briefcase, take it home, plug it into your home, and boom. You're making calls from home. It's unbelievable. Or you can do soft clients. Lastly, one of the last benefits is the maintenance and software upgrades. When you currently have a phone system, you have a problem because in that phone system, you have to keep maintaining it, upgrading it, and doing the different things that are just very difficult to deal with. So with a hosted system, it's always upgraded all the time. Every month they after 5 years, you just buy some new phones. You don't have to buy a whole new PBX system, which is fantastic. So that's what hosted phones and voice over IP. There are a lot of different applications that go along with it, but those are the two main differences, and we'll kind of get into the rest of it in just a minute. So the proper phone configuration for small, medium-sized, and large businesses is as follows. And I kind of want to do this for everybody here so that you can, okay, I see I'm a small business, I'm a medium-sized business, I'm a large business. So with the small business, you're looking at basic analog lines, you're looking at a cable provider, Time Warner Cable, you're looking at voice over IP, not the hosted because it's a lot cheaper, it's $25 per phone line. You're looking to buy phones from Office Max. Maybe you want to have your phone set up through your cell phones. You can use Skype for business, so you can phone calls from there. That's a fantastic integration tool. And typically, for small businesses, you have a very small internet connection. On the medium-sized businesses, you're looking at integrated access, phone and internet, hosted phones. You're looking at a small phone system, trunks or DIDs. And you're looking at kind of variable internet speeds. But on a medium-sized business, the integrated access device is basically splitting up your phone and internet connections because you're getting a little bit bigger. You're going to need a hosted phone application. It's going to be more expensive if you're going to do it that way. And then lastly, on the large businesses use this stuff called PRIs or SIP connections. Typically, large businesses are 20 users and up. They have a large phone, an IP phone system. They're looking for like a link integration, which we're using today. They use trunks and DIDs, and typically they have large internet connections. Moving on to the internet breakdown, I wanted to talk about the 6 different specific internet connections and how they would be applicable to you. So let's look at them. So DSL is your first internet connection. It's been around, for many, many years. And DSL is very cheap, $60 to $100. It's easy. The problem with DSL is distance sensitive and it's a shared connection. What I mean by distance sensitive is that you have a central office. Within a zip code, there's one central office per zip code for the phone company. And if you're within 100 feet, you're getting great speed up and down. If you're at the longest, which is 6,000 feet, you're getting the slowest speeds possible. So you could have as high as 6 megs by 1 meg up and down if you're right next to the central office, or you could have as minimum as 1 meg by 256K at the very end of it. Lastly, you also have to fight with all the other subscribers that are on the actual line when it becomes heavily inundated, people using Pandora, your actual internet connection speeds go down considerably. So with that, the next one is the gold standard of internet connections. And with the gold standard, it's called T1. It used to be, actually. T1s range from anywhere between $300 to $500 for, and it's a dedicated internet connection, not sharing with anybody. You have 1.5 megs up and down. The problem with that right now is that most of the programs and most of the cloud programs use a heck of a lot more internet than that. So it's pretty much just making itself obsolete, and most companies just can't do anything right now. The next option is one of the better options out there that we feel is cable. Calling your Time Warner, your Charter, your Cox, fantastic speeds out of cable. The only problem is that they forgot the businesses when they were building it out back in the 70s. So they basically took all their fiber along record, passed to the businesses. And if you can get it to your business, I would suggest it heavily, especially if you're a small, medium-sized business, and even some medium-sized business, because you can get some screaming speeds out of that. It's very affordable. Problem is that sometimes when you're not in the area, it just costs too much to install. Next one is really what's going to be the gold standard, and it's Ethernet. And it's basically like a T1, but instead of a T1, it's 8 twisted pairs of copper. A T1 is 4 twisted pairs of copper. So Ethernet is more robust. You can get up to 20 megs of Ethernet or internet speed. And that's the reason why I speak of the gold standard is because it's tried, true, tested. It's been around for about 15 years. The costs range anywhere between $400 and $900 for Ethernet connection. but it really is, that's the new gold standard for at least the medium-sized businesses. Now, fiber, we've kind of heard about fiber a lot. If you're in the FiOS territory, it's fantastic because you can get like 200 megs for like $100. However, fiber on the real fiber providers is a 100 meg connection that costs anywhere between $1,500 and $3,000 per month. It is right now pretty much going to be reserved for the very large corporations out there. So that's kind of like the 5 basic ones. And the last one you might hear about is what is SIP. SIP is an internet connection, but it's an internet connection for voice calls. And that's going to be really reserved for the large corporations that have a really big, $50,000 phone system, and they want to use the internet for it. So that's what they're going to do. And so that's kind of the breakdown. When you get into the internet configuration, you want to look at, okay, what is applicable to my company? How big am I? So small business, medium-sized business, large business. If you're a small business, micro business, DSL may work for you for a while. You want to get cable if you can. And you can also use a hotspot if you're a micro mini business and you're using it however it's quite a bit of money to do that. For medium-sized businesses out there, and this can be up to 100 people, if you can get cable, great, because that's super fast. T1s are there, and Ethernet really is the gold standard. If you're, as a medium-sized business, you can afford, $400 to $600 a month. It's just the way that you have to do it. And then lastly is the large business. And large businesses are typically looking at multiple T1s, Ethernet, or fiber connections. They can afford it. So, that's what they want to do. So hopefully, this kind of gives you a good idea of what to look at when you're configuring your company.
All right, so let's get another poll going here. Let's see. Do you understand the basics of internet and phone connections? We'll go ahead and launch that out. Let's see. All right. So 90% yes. That's fantastic. 93% yes. 7, thank goodness this has been explained to me. 8% say that. Some still say no. 63% have voted. That's fantastic. All right. So 88% of you, or 86% of you said yes. 6% said no. The reality is, we just take a look at this stuff. We're going to be sending this back out to you so you can reference this at a later date. But the good thing is that now hopefully you have a better understanding of the basics. All right. So let's scroll back here. All right. 1 second.
So hosted cloud applications is the next thing to talk about, software as a service. So the definition, and we're going to read this right off the slide, is host applications are utilities that reside on a host server and are accessed via an internet connection. Okay, so enough of that. What it is, it's software that instead of installing it on your computer, you're accessing it on somebody else's server. So we're going to talk about Microsoft Office 365, and the reason why we're going to talk about it is because a couple of things. One is mobility, okay, and the mobility, disaster recovery, and the option to increase your productivity considerably. Microsoft Office 365 is the latest Office software. It's 2013 Pro. That you do. But the greatest thing about Office 365 is for every subscription, for every user that you have in your office, you are able to download 5 copies to 5 separate devices. Okay, so these devices, you have one at your office, and you're able to download all those programs, Office, Pro, Word, Excel, Link, down on that one office, and you're going to go home and you have a laptop, and you're going to download it on that. And then after that, you're going to download it on your tablet, whatever tablet you have. And then you're also going to download it on one of your Samsung or Windows phones that you have. Even if you have an Apple product, you can download it on that. So when they download all that, it's all going to be connected into the cloud through the OneDrive that they actually provide. So now, from any device that you have, you can work on the same exact document. You can be at your office, you can access the document from there, you can save it, it goes to the cloud, you can go home, use a different device, open up Microsoft Excel, bring down your document, pure mobility, also disaster recovery. If any one of those devices fails, it's okay. You got all your applications up on the internet. And that is one of the main cloud products available, and this is why we're going to talk about Office 365. So one of the greatest things about Office 365 and cloud in general is get what you want only when you need it. Okay? You got a small business now, you're growing. Okay, I want to add employees. Fantastic. I'm going to grab a few more Office 365 licenses, or I'm going to get a cloud server. Fantastic. Well, now what happens if you reduce employees? Well, maybe you don't need to have everything that's on that's there. So you go ahead and reduce it. So that's the key factor of cloud and why it's great. You get only what you need when you need it. As a small to medium-sized business growing, you can't afford to go out and buy all these tools hoping that your business will grow. Well, why don't you only buy just what you need when you need it and kind of go from there. Next, stay current and competitive for less. One of the main issues of businesses in the past 10 years is, my gosh, I've got to upgrade, I've got to keep upgrading, I've got to keep upgrading. High capital expensive, right? I got to bring in a new server. Oh my God, that's another $24,000. I can't do that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to move to cloud. And I'm using some of the cloud products, whether it's a server in the cloud, whether it's your software as a service. You no longer have to deal with any of that because it's always current and you have to pay less over the long term. Look at car versus lease, right? And car's a little different, buying and leasing because you could still theoretically drive it. But you got to keep it up after it starts breaking down. Instead of that, use something that's brand new all the time. In business, is a little bit different because you need the latest tools to be more mobile and more active and more competitive. So, in the next slide, access and edit your latest documents wherever you go. We talked about this a little bit earlier with the fact that we can, if we're at the airport and we're like, oh my gosh, I forgot my Excel spreadsheet at the office, instead of having to get back in the office and going out there, you can basically just open up your laptop because all your documents are synced in the OneDrive. It's in the cloud. You just pull it down. You put yourself in a position where now you have all of your documents anywhere in the world. It's seamless. So anywhere you can get an internet connection, you can continue working. Airport is usually the place that I find that I used to leave all of my stuff. So that's why I like the Office 365. Now this next program is one of the most unbelievable programs in this call right now. And I think we're on it today. That I'm a big proponent of it because something, I'm talking to everybody here on this program right now, and we haven't met yet. We're collaborating. We're talking about something that's really interesting. So I'll kind of give you an option. So imagine I'm the guy in the middle right there, and I do have dark hair, but my face does. I have eyes and nose, but this guy doesn't. But now I want to talk to Joe in my office. But you know something? He's at his home office, so he's going to jump in on this call real quick, just like you're doing right now. Then we're going to have Jim. Jim's over at the airport. He wants to get in, so he has to use the internet connection. He chimes into this thing and then this meeting. And then, Jerry, he just got off the plane. He can't sit down and wait, and so he's going to get on his mobile device, the mobile phone, get into the internet. And then we have, Sally over here, who's going to an appointment, but she still wants to go, and we still need to collaborate. We need to talk to each other just like we're doing today. Fantastic. That's what Link is. It collaborates, but also another power of it is it's a messaging tool within your office. So imagine Jim, Jerry, Sue, Sally, and John were all in the office, and we want to see where they were at. Well, we just pop open our Link tool and see if there's a green light next to their face, and we basically just ping them real quick. We send a quick note. Hey, Jim, you available? Yeah. All right, let's do a Link call. Boom. There you go. So Link, man, it is one of the greatest products that ever was invented, and I'm a big proponent. You can see how excited I am about it. I just think I'm over the moon about it, and you should be too, because you can use this for all of your voice and video audio conferencing calls. You no longer have to pay that extra the fees, for that. So Link is really a great collaboration tool. You're able to share your SharePoint, as we're doing today. We're sharing a PowerPoint today on this. You can do a whiteboard. We can do polling, as we've been doing. It's just phenomenal. All right, so we're getting towards the end of this, and we have to look at getting it right before you wish you had. So the cloud provides resiliency and built-in redundancy in case of natural disasters. So we found that, Phuket, in Katrina, in Napa, we found situations where a lot of businesses were hit. And Boston Consulting Group did another study, and they realized that 40% of all businesses that were hit by natural disaster, fire, flood, came from FEMA. 40% never reopened. Okay. Small to medium-sized businesses say improved business continuity is an important reason for server virtualization, which is the cloud. 81% of small to medium-sized businesses they surveyed after Katrina said, gosh, darn it, we want to get back up and running as quick as we can. I wish we had the cloud. Now, 24% of small and medium-sized businesses are concerned with inadequate technology, recovery, backup, and resiliency. The reality is, if you move to cloud, you can reduce a ton of IT expenses as well as be ahead of the game in the event of a natural disaster. So get it right. Think about what you're doing today. Think about how you're setting up your business and set it up when it goes to the cloud. Make things easy. Just worry about your business as opposed to worrying about your IT concern. So we kind of talked about this is, never lose your latest files even though you lose your laptop or device. A couple of different things. So we talked about how you drag and drop files up into OneDrive and keep it and go somewhere else, but there's also separation. If you lose a device or lose an employee, you kind of wonder where they're all messed up. Well, instantaneously through an Office 365 platform, the administrator can literally, in 5 minutes from finding out that the device was lost, stolen, or never going to be returned, and then wipe all the critical data from misplaced and stolen devices. So, gosh, if your internet or your files are important to you, you really got to think about this disaster recovery using software as a service. Virtually every program out there that has a software as a service scenario type. So, lastly, you're going to look at, ensure continuous uptime by hosting your application. So this particular site talks about how, the companies that were in Phuket or in Katrina or in Napa with that earthquake or, Loma Prieta or these, last earthquakes that were around, they were able to get back up and running because they had a hybrid solution. They had some of the stuff at their office, but they also had some of their information up in the cloud so that they could keep it going. So that's just some kind of food for thought.
All right. Well, thank you very much for attending the this broadcast. I'm going to go ahead and click on my video here in just a second. All right. So we really appreciate you joining the broadcast, and I'm sorry for the whiteness in the background here. We're going to go ahead and actually send out a free trial version. And let me go ahead and launch another poll real quick, kind of to see if you, basically, do you view Office 365 as a benefit? A lot of people do. Gosh, 80% say yes. 18% say no. No, I mean 5% say no, 15% say I don't see the benefit. So what we're going to do at the end of this call is we're actually going to send out a free trial for everybody to kind of just take a look at it. It's a 30-day free trial. I think you get 25 licenses, and we'll kind of go from there. We're going to be doing these webinars every two weeks, and we really appreciate all of your time. Cherie, are you on the call still? Cherie's probably muted right now.
You're right. I was muted. Can you hear me?
Fantastic.
Yes. So we have March 11th.
Yes.
At 11 o'clock, and we'll be sending out another email blast to let you know more specifics and the log-on information.
Fantastic. And I guess the last poll that we're going to put up there is going to be whether you want us to include you in further seminars. But anyways, thank you so much. You're going to get my contact information. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, please feel free to send me an email or give me a call, and I'll be happy to help. Thanks so much for everyone joining the call, and have a great day. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sherman.